On December 31st, 1972, baseball legend Roberto Clemente dies in a tragic plane crash at age 38. One of the game's greatest players, he played 18 seasons, all with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Clemente won 12 Gold Gloves for his stellar defense in right field. He was a perennial 300 hitter and the 1966 MVP. Clemente was just the 11th player to amass 3,000 hits, which he did in the final regular season game of the 1972 season, just months before his untimely death. A native of Puerto Rico, he was a hero on the island, not just for baseball, but for the charity work that he did there. When an earthquake struck Nicaragua on December 23rd, Clemente was outraged to learn that much of the aid that had been sent had been confiscated. So he decided to collect supplies and deliver them personally from Puerto Rico. Well known and respected in Nicaragua, Clemente believed his presence would ensure that the aid would get to the people who needed it. On December 30th, the day before the accident, Clemente was at the cargo area of San Juan International Airport, helping to load the relief supplies. He soon realized the plane he was planning to use was too small to handle the cargo. Clemente was then approached by a man named Arthur Rivera, who offered to fly the supplies to Nicaragua for $4,000. What Clemente did not know is that Rivera's DC-7 aircraft had major issues. It had recently been repainted, disguising the plane's true condition. The plane was actually in very poor shape. Rivera, who had been repeatedly cited for safety violations while operating a cargo business using a smaller DC-3, had recently purchased the DC-7. It was in such bad condition that it had to be ferried from Miami to Puerto Rico. Weeks earlier, Rivera had taken the plane up for a test flight, but hydraulic issues forced him to put it down in a drainage ditch, bending two of the propeller blades and damaging the landing gear. Only some of these issues were fixed prior to the fateful December 31st flight. Unbeknownst to Clemente, Rivera did not even have a crew for the plane and had to scramble to find a pilot. Rivera located Jerry Hill, a pilot with a checkered record, and began loading the plane. After the accident, the investigation determined that Rivera had loaded the aircraft above its maximum capacity. In fact, Clemente himself was warned by someone at the airport that the plane looked dangerously overloaded when he was about to board. But Clemente was so eager to get the relief to the earthquake victims that he failed to heed the warning. The plane took off at 9 p.m. It reached an altitude of just 200 feet, exploded, and plunged into the ocean. Rescue workers were sent out immediately, but the task was next to impossible in the darkness. All 5 on board, including Clemente, Rivera, and Hill, were killed. The bodies were never found. In the wake of his passing, the normal 5-year rule was waived, and Clemente was voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1973. Additionally, the Commissioner's Award was renamed in his honor that same year. The award is given each season to the player who best represents the game, both on and off the field. In 2003, U.S. President George W. Bush honored Clemente with the nation's highest civilian award, the Medal of Freedom. It was accepted by his wife, Vera Clemente, on her husband's behalf. Roberto Clemente's legacy lives on, both on and off the baseball diamond. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1600, Queen Elizabeth I grants a charter to the East India Company to try to break up a Dutch monopoly. In 1879, Edison gives his first public demonstration of the light bulb, lighting up a street in Menlo Park, New Jersey. In 1984, New York City subway shooter Bernard Goetz turns himself in to police in Concord, New Hampshire. In 1988, in Chicago, the Bears defeat the Eagles in an NFL playoff game dubbed the Fog Bowl. In 1999, former KGB officer Vladimir Putin becomes acting president of Russia after Boris Yeltsin resigns. Also in 1999, the U.S. officially hands over to Panama control of the strategic 50-mile Panama Canal. In 2019, Wuhan, China reports cases of pneumonia caused by an unknown disease later identified as COVID-19. And now, it's time for our Today in History quiz. The first immigrant ever processed at New York Harbor's Ellis Island was from which country? Italy, Poland, Ireland, or Greece? Think you know the answer? Drop your guesses in the comments below. Find out if you're right tomorrow on Today in History.